Welcome to Funimation 3D. Quick challenge. Answer fast. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? If your brain just went, wait, that is exactly why this question is so famous. It sounds tiny, but it is actually a super smart question. Kids ask it, adults ask it, teachers ask it, families ask it at dinner and start debating right away. At first, it feels like a loop. A chicken comes from an egg, but an egg comes from a chicken. So where does the story begin? It is like trying to find the first point on a circle. You keep going around and around. Here's the secret that makes this question easier and way more interesting. There are two good ways to answer it. There is the everyday answer, and there is the science answer, and both matter. Let's start with the everyday answer, because that is the one we can picture the fastest. Imagine a farm. A chicken lays an egg. The egg hatches into a chick. The chick grows up and becomes a chicken. That part is simple and true. So if someone asks, where does a chick come from? The answer is an egg. And if someone asks, where did the egg come from? The answer is a chicken. That is the chicken and egg cycle we see in real life today. But here's the catch. The farm cycle shows us how the cycle works now. It does not tell us how the very first chicken ever appeared in the long history of life. It is a little like watching a swing move back and forth. You can see the pattern, but you still do not know who gave it the very first push. So the everyday answer is useful, but it does not fully solve the giant mystery. To solve the bigger version, we need to zoom way back in time, long before farms, long before people, and long before modern chickens existed. Now we are in the science story. And the first big clue is this. Eggs existed long before chickens. A lot of animals lay eggs. Fish lay eggs. Reptiles lay eggs. Long ago, animals that were ancestors of birds also laid eggs. So eggs did not begin with chickens. Eggs were already part of life on Earth a very long time before any modern chicken showed up. That means if the question is, did eggs exist before chickens? The science answer is yes. But now you might be thinking, okay, but what about a chicken egg? Great question. That is exactly the next step. To answer that, we need one simple science idea. Living things can change in tiny ways over many, many generations. Not all at once, not like magic. Tiny changes, slowly over a long time. Think of it like a family recipe. Imagine your grandparent makes soup one way. Then the next generation makes almost the same soup, but changes one tiny thing. Then the next generation keeps most of it the same, but adds another tiny change. After many generations, the soup is still related to the original recipe, but it can become a new version. Or think of making copies of a drawing again and again. Most copies look almost the same, but sometimes there is a tiny difference. Then later copies keep building on small differences. Over a long time, those little differences can add up. Scientists use this idea to explain the chicken and egg question. Long ago, there was a bird that was very, very close to a modern chicken, but not exactly the same. You can think of it as an almost chicken. That almost chicken laid an egg. Inside that egg, the baby had a tiny change that made it the first true chicken. So the first true chicken likely hatched from an egg laid by a parent that was almost a chicken, but not quite a modern chicken yet. And that is why, in the science story, the egg came first. Pretty cool, right? This is also a great moment for a quick mythbuster. The question does not have only one kind of answer. If someone says, chicken and egg are part of a cycle, they are talking about everyday life on a farm. If someone says, the egg came first, they are talking about the science history of how chickens appeared. These answers are not enemies. They are answering different versions of the question. That is actually one of the smartest lessons in science. Before answering a question, make sure you understand what kind of question it is. Another mythbuster, eggs are not chicken-only things. Eggs are much older than chickens. Chickens are just one animal in a very long egg-laying story. Now let's make the final answer super clear so you can explain it to someone else. If you mean the everyday version, the chicken and the egg are part of a cycle. chickens lay eggs, and eggs hatch chicks. Both belong in the answer. If you mean the long science history version, the egg came first because egg-laying animals existed long before modern chickens. And if you mean the first true chicken, science says it likely came from an egg laid by an almost chicken parent. So a really strong answer is, it depends on what you mean, but in the science story, the egg came first. That answer is smart because it shows careful thinking. It shows you are not just guessing, you are asking a better question first. And that is why this famous puzzle is so awesome. It starts as a silly question, but it turns into a real science adventure. It teaches us about animals, history, and how tiny changes over a long time can create something new. It also teaches us something even bigger. Great questions are powerful. Sometimes the best learning begins with a question that sounds funny. Which came first? Can lead to how do animals change, and then to how do scientists figure things out? That is how curiosity grows. So next time someone asks you, which came first, the chicken or the egg? You can smile and say, there are two answers. On the farm, it's a cycle. In science history, the egg came first. That is a fantastic answer, and it shows you are thinking like a scientist. Keep asking big questions. Keep wondering how things begin. Keep looking for clues. The world is full of mysteries, and science helps us explore them. One smart question at a time. Thanks for learning with us today. Like, share, and subscribe to Funimation 3D.